Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I am Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are here to talk about Smoke, episode 9. This one was called Mirror Mirror. This is the finale, Tom. We closed it down. We landed the plane and set it on fire. This show is some kind of something. Let me just say that, Tom.
To me, this show is like Dave, like where it wanted to be something else, or it looked in the mirror and saw a beautiful prestige, like HBO Sunday night programming thing, but was just all smoke and mirrors. I thought that was almost kind of comical, and I want to give the show maybe credit for doing that. Like maybe they were knowledgeable of how kind of ridiculous some of this stuff was, but I don't know. Like, I still had a fun enough time with this, but it was just so goofy and rough around the edges. And even some of the stuff and beats that happened in this last episode were cuckoo bananas, as we said in the beginning. I don't know if I could go as far as recommending this show, but what are your general thoughts here?
Well, I think the argument here for me is like, what do I want out of a show? And as an audience, what am I owed? And if I feel like I'm owed answers, which we often do with shows, we're like, hey, you have to explain. The logical ones of us are like, hey, you have to explain why you made these choices, and then at the end, it all has to be like tied neatly in a bow so that my brain can wrap itself around it. This show went along the lines of like The Sopranos, or like, hey, we're just going to end it. There's going to be a ton of questions still left. I don't know that it's going to make like, you're just not going to feel satisfied. And I don't know if that's, I mean, there's certain shows that if you think about, they spent so much time trying to wrap up the bows that it's unsatisfying. But a show like this ends and you're still kind of thinking about it and you're like, wow, that was, I don't know, brave choice is not the right term, but it's like, really? That's how we ended it? I had so many more things I wanted you to like tell me or explain, or like the Dave Goodson of it all. I don't feel like we have an answer on that. And so I'm okay with it because they took a swing and it's like the show didn't give me what I wanted, but I don't know that I'm owed what I wanted in every single show. You know, it's like if you took Lost and Lost ended like without them trying to explain everything and tie it all up, and like I feel like if Lost ended ambiguously or with a ton of mystery still left, we all would have been mad. But I still think there's a lot of hate for like the last season of Lost, and that's probably because they were trying to like have everything make sense. But I think people are still upset about the Sopranos finale too. So,
Yeah.
which I got to be honest, I didn't finish the Sopranos, but I know about the finale because it was in the news. I'm surprised the Smoke finale hasn't been in the news, much like the Sopranos finale.
Not yet. I mean, it just came out last night, so let's
That's
give it
fair.
time. But like, I'm with you. The idea that Dave essentially just being bipolar and really wholeheartedly believing that he was this other person is kind of the big reveal. I thought was a little unsatisfying. I felt as it would have been better if we did have some more kind of twists and misdirects about like what we were seeing on screen wasn't real, but essentially it was just everything we saw on screen that was depicting of Dave was just through a different lens as opposed to it being the story or bookisms and that kind of stuff, which I thought would have been more compelling and interesting for the show to do because they introduced that concept, and I thought that would have been more of a fun twist for how kind of wacky the show was. But if it was trying to be like more straight laced, then this ending I think makes more sense. But I guess it was just all the wackiness in between that was wanting me to want more in terms of the twisty factor.
So I think they did a brilliant job setting this episode up, thinking that the twist was going to be who the arson was, just because of like all the breadcrumbs and the things that are going on. And I was so excited to be right. I was like, oh, Dave is not the arson. Like they're framing him, like all of these things. But then for it to be, hey, the big reveal is, as you said, he's just a little bit pudgy and he's losing his hair and he like sees himself differently. I was like, I don't know that that's really what I was showing up for this show for. Like,
Yeah.
self-reflection wasn't what I was looking for here. I get it. We all tell, like, we're all the hero in our own story. So, not unsatisfying. I'm still thinking about it. I enjoyed it. I gotta think it was all purposeful. Now, whether or not the showrunner and the guy Lehane thought he was crushing it, or whether or not he did this and he was just like, I don't care about you, audience. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could go both ways, but
Yeah.
let's. We don't have to go through every scene of this episode, Tom, because the real stuff is at the end, and that's where the discussion is. But I want to point out that they laid a lot of breadcrumbs, but the final reveal, it was. I don't know. I don't know if it would have been more satisfying had we gotten what I wanted out of it. But we'll talk through it. I do think is murder this easy, Tom? Am I just is it easier to murder a person than because I've always the reason I don't murder people is I'm always assuming I'm going to get arrested. But these shows repeatedly are like, hey, if you can take out the neighbor's cameras and burn the body, you're probably going to get away with it. And I'm always
I felt the show almost we joked around by saying this is a season 1, and the idea of it getting a season 2 was almost kind of comical. But I almost feel like they kind of left some breadcrumbs for a season 2 with
most certainly,
of her Calderon still being kind of haunted by the ghost of Steve, and does this cover up really stick? It could be interesting. But I don't the draw to this show was Dave's craziness. So now just doing kind of a procedural thing with Calderon, even though we still really didn't get some answers to her backstory. In this opening sequence where you're seeing the house and you're seeing kind of Calderon sitting there with her niece and in her bedroom, you see the flashes of her mother. So we actually see her mother's face for the first time, which again was really weird to do if you're not trying to set up a next season to continue that actress, that character.
Right. This murder of Captain Steve would be what the second season would be about. It would be Calderon trying to cover her tracks, which we see in this because she brings her brother into play. I mean, I think it's even weird that the show all of a sudden was like, hey, here's a different police. There are so many police chiefs and police captains in this show. Who's doing the beat copping? Because all these people. So we have this new police captain. She shows up and she's like, I'm taking over your investigation. And ATF's like, okay, yes, ma'am. Here's my box of files.
I had to rewind this. I was so confused. She is ATF. That is a federal agency. And this local captain is like, yep, I'm taking it. She's like, yep, cool. No big deal. I'm good.
Yeah, this show is listen, the feds often come in and take the investigation from the locals. Not in my show. The locals take it from federal. I found all this, the introduction of that character, who we find her name. I don't want to call her Captain Fräulein because then I will be as bad as Esposito. But it's weird to bring in a major character in the finale. I did appreciate her being like, who are you, Esposito? What are you doing here? You don't work here. Finally.
She was the audience. She's finding out, what's your rank? And then he replies, retired. But I did love his stance in this whole scene where he's kind of holding his jacket by his fingers over his shoulder. Just such a cool guy.
Right. And they then introduced that Esposito knows this captain, and they know intimate detail. He knows intimate details about her. So you're
what was that about?
I don't
get it.
I was is this one of Dave's other ex-wives? What's happening here? I got so confused as to why they brought this in.
Yeah, did they date? Did he maybe film her at some point? I had no idea what this. Because you mentioned Fräulein being her safe word. I am perplexed.
I only know, I don't know, a dozen people's safe words in this world. You gotta, I don't know. It's crazy. And most of them are That's a strange phrase. Anyways, we'll move on. It almost felt like they did 12 episodes and they cut it down to 9. And so there's a bunch of stuff that was left on the cutting room floor, but we are still piecing together the mystery. But once again, this show has been confusing and ambiguous, and you could say it's like a lesser show. All of that would take you out of it and be so confusing, but they still kind of it still consistently ends with something that is, I don't know, halfway satisfying. So
I'm with you. The series was compelling. It had me thinking, and maybe thinking too far down rabbit holes I shouldn't have been. But I did enjoy the general mystery of it all. Maybe not as excited about the conclusion. I guess like Taron Egerton's performance was just so wild, and like his mannerisms and his facial expressions throughout these scenes as he's like smiling at Calderon and other characters, and like his back and forth with Freddy. Like me and my wife were talking, like the Freddy storyline didn't seem to make much of any sense to the greater mystery here, outside of just showing us a depressing story.
Right.
Like I thought we were gonna get more to that, but yeah, I mean, again, the show was compelling. I had a fun enough time with it, but the show's not what I think it thinks it is.
Sure. And we get a glimpse here of, once again, if there was a season 2, it would be more of this like back and forth. So Harvey shows up, my boy Kinnear, and he's like, Calderon, I hate to tell you this, but Steve's dead. And she's like, oh no, Steve's dead. Oh, there's a body. Oh no. And I was just like, I'm a terrible liar. Being a murderer and like trying to be like, how did he die? Oh, did someone punch him in the throat? I'm just guessing, just throwing that out. I would be the worst murderer because it's so tough to lie.
And they like show the coroner taking the body, and like you have to guess, like they're gonna know that his windpipe was shut. He didn't. I mean, I guess the whole idea is they're going to throw it all on Dave in the first place. But she clocks this camera here.
The rubber glove that doesn't melt. Yes.
Yeah.
The rubber, these fire resistant rubber medical gloves. Yes.
And there's some like goofy stuff that happened. Like to me, it was like an agonizingly long slow-mo shot of like Calderon kind of coming to the scene, and then when the dude collects the glove in the evidence bag, he randomly just drops it and the wind starts blowing it around. I'm like, oh, is he gonna lose it? Is Calderon gonna pick it up? Like there was just some weird like cinematography choices that I did not get.
Here's what I think of this show, the more we're talking about it. This show was written by someone who knows people watch too much TV, and so we are like looking for all of the hints, the like red herring, the hey, if this was a normal show, it would do this. And so like that is just one more of that writer when he drops the evidence bag, and like in another show, the wind takes it. That guy kind of looks around and is just like, oh, no one saw it. Like, I'm going to go about my business. But in this show, he's like, I know you guys are paying attention to everything. I think my wife, before we started the episode, it rolled into the like previously on, and the previously on like noted the Esposito talking about the wiring in the underneath the dash, and she goes, "Oh, because they showed that in the previously on, I think you're right. They're like pointing to Esposito
100%.
framing this guy," and so. But that's not ultimately what the show shows us at the end. But it's almost like this writer's like, hey, I know you guys are paying too much attention.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he's going after us, Tom, a little bit.
He listened to our podcast. He realized you clocked it as like the airbag's not going to go off, that I clocked it as Esposito being sketch. So they put it in there just to troll us. And you know what? Kudos.
So strange. So strange. But yeah, to your point, I give him the credit. And as you mentioned, this is also where Calderon, I mean, everything is videotaped these days. So the fact that Calderon thought she was going to get away with this as a cop, I find very funny.
Well, even her car was parked there for seemingly hours, and it's not a normal car that's there. So neighbors would probably say, oh yeah, by the way, there was her exact car, make and model parked here. Probably a lot of like Ring or Nest doorbells are going to catch her driving in and out, even more so than just this one camera that actually sees her going in and out of the house. And then I've got thoughts about the camera technology and how videos are saved, but we'll get to that later on when the brother's involved.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's not how that works. That was my immediate thought. But like bringing the brother back in order to do that, that's like definitely hey, he's a bigger part of season 2. Like that's what that felt like.
Yes.
But I enjoyed her clocking the cameras and what comes of that, but also like pinging cell phone, which the ghost of Steve shows up and he's like, you know, your cell phone was pinged when you murdered me, which I love that they brought the ghost of Steve. Calderon's just having a rough 48 hours, you know, but she's also like the Terminator in this, which we'll get to later. so this new captain character then like does the car lean with Calderon, and she's like, I will bring down fecal holocaust on whoever killed my buddy Steve. And you're like, what? Like, where did you come from? And
really
how is
paints a picture.
Calderon not laughing and being like, it was me, rain on me, like I did it.
Well, like, and then she even says this line, like, he was the greatest cop I ever knew. Like, really? This guy?
Was
We
he?
saw him yell at some subordinates, and then we saw him be a complete a-hole to just about every other character, then sucker punch one of the main characters. Like, I don't know what other police work he's done in the past, but I don't.
This is tough at Steve's funeral. People are like, he was a family man. And you're like, from the back, they're like, no, he wasn't. What are you talking about? The greatest cop I ever knew? He yelled at me. What? Like, I don't know. Do they take audience response during a funeral, Tom? It's been a while.
They should.
Oh. So she then goes, she buys a pay-for phone, and then I thought I clocked, were those boxes of those cameras, or...
No, I think she just bought like a bunch of burners, essentially.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I expected her to buy the brand of camera, and then she was going to be on customer service being like, hey, I've got a camera at my house, and I'm locked out of the password. Can you help me? That's what I thought she was doing. But instead, she calls her criminal light brother. I love this. He's got to do crimes that like are criminal, but like ones that we don't really care about. We're like, he's selling like catalytic converters, whatever. Yeah. I don't really care. Seems like a nice enough guy. He fights roosters, you know. He himself physically fights roosters.
He's got to get him prepped for the matches, yeah. It's always good to have a crooked family member that you can go to.
Right. Yeah, my question to you was, I mean, don't say their name, but Tom, do you have a criminal world contact that you go to when, I don't know, you don't want to pay your taxes or you need someone's kneecap broke?
I mean, I thought it was you, but I guess it's not.
Yeah, no, mine's my accountant. Dave watching. We then cut to Dave watching the news. He's still with Reba. These guys spend so much time at other people's houses they're not married to, and he's like, "I'm about to be framed," and I love that Reba's like, only people in shows say that they're about to be framed. No one says that in real life. I thought that was just once again, the writer just being like, you guys know that I know, and so I'm going to put it in here.
It's great. And like, yeah, I mean, his phone was there, the car was there, but I guess none of this really matters in the frame game. Like, he can still get arrested for it. Maybe it won't stick, but this is like the catalyst for everything else.
Right. I love how when he's later on during the interrogation, he's just like, pretty thin. All this is pretty thin. Like, you just keep bringing up the gloves. Pretty thin, but not thin enough to melt. I wanna point that out. I did not understand when he was like, Reba, you have to tell them I was here the whole time. I thought she was messing with him, but then she's like, I'm not going to be your alibi. I was like, is this some kind of weird sexual game they're now playing that she won't be his alibi and that like makes him super excited? What's going on here? But everyone just hates Dave, it seems. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's a lot of love-hate relationships with him.
A lot of loving and hating all going on in these
and sometimes simultaneously.
Yeah, exactly. Dave then goes to work. And once again, they clock it. They're like, of course he's going to work. Why wouldn't he? He just killed someone.
Not another soul in this office, by the way. No. Only Harvey and Dave.
No. I love Chief Harvey's like, all he chiefs over is Dave. That's it. And turns out like Dave might be a murderer and an arsonist, but Harvey's still putting in the work. We don't. I mean, I guess the storyline with Harvey taking the money all leads to this confrontation where Dave goes, if I go down, you go down. Because Harvey finally confronts him about, like, hey, of course you killed Burke. He had you pinned to 20 fires. And I don't know. We went down some paths here that all were brought back for this episode, but only brought back for, like, a conversation. It's like the same thing with the family and the pictures. It's like the whole reason the soon-to-be ex-wife and stepson exist is so that they can drop a photo and we can see what Dave looks like in real life, which there are photos of Dave throughout this show and he looks normal, like on Harvey's wall. Like, what's going on here? show you can't do that to us. You can't show us pictures where he looks like I wouldn't say Egerton, but it's not Egerton. It's
Tiegi.
Yeah, it's Tiegi.
The one we know and love.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I think I had clocked this of if that was the mirrored version of Dave when Harvey kind of punched that picture, that would have been a very interesting kind of twist, or make it like a blurry or whatever. But no, like that was very clearly the version that has been shown to the audience here. So I thought that was such a cheap reveal at the end.
Right. I'm real confused as to who the real Tiegi is. And did Tiegi in real life have to go bald and gain a bunch of weight? Because that did not look like a fat suit, sir. That looked like
That's
like,
good prosthetics. They had the Benjamin Button guy.
Is that what happened? That's just good prosthetics. They bring during this conversation, Harvey brings up the like O'Sullivan fire where the kid who like had the speaking impediment for pistachio died. They blow right by it. At no point is Dave like, no, you brought up this pistachio kid like when we were drinking one night. That's how I knew. It's just like, I don't know.
He just tells him he did it, and he says I didn't do it, and walks away. And everybody's fine. Yeah.
Incredible. My wife started laughing hysterically, and I was taking notes, so I didn't see it, and so we had to rewind. But at Dave's desk, his soon-to-be ex-wife, there's a picture, and Dave had taped a sticky note on her face with a frowny face.
Incredible.
And it was like, why show? Like, we're a serious show. You killed kids. Like, what are we doing here? And then there's the sad face post-it note. Incredible. Just incredible.
It just keeps going to like the psychosis of this guy, right? Like how he's just a cuckoo bananas. Like, but again, like somebody being bipolar is different than putting frowny faces on your ex-wife's picture. Like, it's just too out there.
Right. I mean, I'm tempted to do it in my office here. Go around and put some frowny post-its on. But speaking of frowny post-its, Calderon shows up. Everyone, for all of the people that think Dave is like a murdering psycho, we all spend a lot of time just hanging out with him in cars and offices. Like, that's why, like, if they don't have enough to arrest him, this is why I like definitively did not want him to be the arsonist, because this would all make sense, but it really doesn't if he is a murderer and an arsonist.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And
did you clock the in the background there, like behind Calderon, there was like the newspaper headline which said "Caught Milk" when they apparently caught Freddy?
No,
absolutely killer headline.
No, I did not. That's great. Tom, guess what? There's another fire. They've got to go. So him and Calderon have to go to another fire, and
so many fires.
So many fires in this town. So there's a fire they show us happening at a lumber yard, just a random lumber yard. But then they also end up driving to a fire that started at a lab. And
so hold on. So like they were at Captain Steve's fire. And they're like showing the embers, and essentially somebody was really excited that they had a drone and had this like 3-minute drone shot of, I guess, the audience being an ember and going into this lumber yard. As that drone starts flying above the house and like going into the woods, my wife and I are like, "Come on, lake house! Come on, lake house!"
Oh yeah, is that not the biggest disappointment? The lake house didn't burn. Like the only purpose of the lake house, which was all reclaimed, really burnable wood, was to show that Harvey was crooked and he stole some funds from the government. Which
was such a disappointment that we didn't get to see that go in flames. But I mean, I guess instead of that, we got maybe the entire woods of this surrounding city. But like the cut over to this other fire of this tech lab and how it was hacked, like. This reminded me of the Murder at the End of the World, where everything is just constantly hacked all the time. Another podcast show that we covered. Like, is Dave some sort of tech mastermind?
No.
Like, this is not in his MO anywhere. Like,
no, I
completely
agree.
Out of nowhere.
This was completely like this. Once again, was an Esposito thing. It's like Esposito's a tech guy. He like runs surveillance. He hooks things up. He's rewiring things. He should be the guy that knows how to like. Adjust the thermostat from Paris so that this lab that's filled with hydrogen blows up. This is why I was like, okay, we're laying more breadcrumbs for Esposito. Nope. No, we did not, Tom. Once again, I wonder if they were promised a second season and then something happened and so they had to condense it down. I don't know. I would love to know if this was all purposeful, because I was so glib and so excited to be right on Esposito, and then they pulled the rug out. They set my house on fire with me in it. Because, what was the point of that? The point of that was just, like, to show different ways that fires can start?
It doesn't make any sense.
Just to get Calderon and Dave in the car again? Why?
He had a history of setting like trap fires or distraction fires right around the area while he goes and does his main one. But there is no catalyst to this because the other big fire that we have is started by an ember. It wasn't one that he had started. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. And we didn't touch on this, but so if he's supposed to be framed for the Captain Steve fire, Esposito and Amy from Veep were like surveilling him, and Esposito makes the point, like, there's no way, which, once again, if Esposito's trying to frame Dave on all of this stuff, he wouldn't have stuck up for him there. He wouldn't have been like, so now
because he finds the glove later and he makes it seem like this is the best thing ever, that we found a glove here and it matches your exact prints, but we know that him as a character knows he wasn't at this fire.
Right.
Like, sure, maybe later they get him on the other stuff because, I mean, I guess what this show is really telling us is that framing people works.
Right. Which is how I read every article in the newspaper. I'm just like, they framed him. I mean, golly. The internet showed me an Onion paper where it's like O.J. Simpson finds wife's killer, and it's a picture of O.J. Simpson holding a guy, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Good job, The Onion. Anyways, they then drive to this forest fire, and T. Eggy, just incredible. Talking crazy, loves fire. She's like, you love fire, don't you? He's like, I love fire. Let's drive fast.
Good thing they didn't pan down to his nether regions.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was just going to talk about how much I love tall trees, Tom, but then you made that comment, and now we're all over the place. So I wonder if the budget for this entire show was the CGI forest, and I'm assuming they set a real forest on fire because we have too many trees in this world. But the finale was like... Once again, the finale's like, we're going to show you guys a super cool action scene in a forest fire and burning. And I'm like, show, that's not what I want. Like, tell me whether or not Dave... Like, this whole scene was, to quote you, cuckoo bananas. They drive into this fire. Dave, like, won't take his foot off the accelerator. He then... Calderon then pulls her gun. She shoots through the window. All of this is gone. Me and my wife are like, is this book? Are we still book? Like, what's happening here? He unclicks her seatbelt and sends her through the windshield, which she then stands up like she's the Terminator. Like, what is happening here?
This was just, like... I thought we were going to get this payoff, and you had a great call that the wires that Esposito clipped were the airbags. I'm like, oh, she doesn't have an airbag, so this has got to be a clear, like, she's going to pass away from this incident. Nope, airbag actually saved her because she got to fly out of the car, get some distance from Dave, and then open up multiple clips on
Tom, I didn't even clock that's why she went through the windshield. Yes. I just accepted it. Oh.
Yes. So it's like they set up a thing to, it doesn't make sense. It's literally they set that up to get her out of the car.
All I know is after this scene, I was like, make Jurnee Smollett, I don't know, an action hero in something. She looked so cool. And she couldn't shoot worth a darn. She emptied 3 magazines into that car and missed Dave completely. It's
been well established that she's only a good shot below the belt. And we do see later in the sequence that she kicks him very hard in the area, if you will. So yeah, these are all warning shots.
That's why when he was sitting in the seat, she was like, show me your groin. Yeah, that makes more sense now. I wondered why she was like, I don't have a clean shot. He's like, you're staring at my face.
And she's got so many clips. I mean, at least 2 into the car. I couldn't help but think of like Willem Dafoe from Boondock Saints of like, it was a firefight.
Literally, it was a firefight in a firefight. Like, just incredible.
Loved it.
Oh, and then she does this very weird thing where she puts the gun in his mouth and it feels like she's massaging the back of his throat. I was like, shoot him or don't. Like, the rain comes down. It all looks super cool, but I was so confused as to what the show was doing. And honestly,
they kept trying to make, they kept trying to make her almost like psychotic, like with the shoving it down her throat, or like the conversations that she's having with him later when they're like in the interrogation room. Like, again, season 2 stuff, right? They're trying to paint her as just a character, maybe as Dave, not maybe as wacky, but something to set up her next season.
Yeah, she killed Steve. Now she's going to kill Dave. She can't stop killing, Tom. That's what they say about killing. You kill one, you got to kill another.
It's like potato chips, which potato chip fires, you know? It all comes back.
It all relates to potato chips. That's exactly right. Intercut after this. I just want to say, I thought all this looked super cool. Like, it was off the rails, but I thought it looked super cool. I mean, both T. Eggy and Jurnee doing fabulous work here. Intercut with this is the brother then going to the neighbor's house in order to get the footage for Michelle's murder, in which he finds the remote under the couch because all of our cameras are hooked to our televisions, as one does, because sometimes you just want to watch your house when you're sitting on the couch. And then he puts a flash drive into, I don't know, the Comcast box, and then deletes the files. What is going on here?
It was all so incredibly easy, and like the idea that this isn't like immediately saved to the cloud is comical to me too. Like, you can just delete it from here, but like, yeah, there's probably backups. And again, they're giving her a super clean off ramp, but like, then the brother doesn't just delete it, right? He downloads it. So like, now he has leverage on her, like gives a smile and all this stuff. So again, season 2 seemingly set up.
Oh, it would have been so much better had he been ejecting VHS tapes from VCRs and just pulling the ribbon out of them and being like, all right, the camera footage is destroyed. That would have made more sense to me than all of this. But speaking of things making sense, they just walk out of this forest fire. It's no longer on fire. Well, no, there's still a ton of smoke, and it's maybe kind of raining. And who shows up at the perfect time but Esposito? And they load it, and I was like, okay, this is where we're going to find out Esposito's the bad guy. He's like shown up at the perfect time. He's clearly been tracking him. He's going to slip up. Nope, nothing. Just shows up in that Land Rover, and they get to take him in for his perp walk. And the DNA is a match on the gloves. Incredible.
Perfect. Couldn't be a better match. I got to give it up to Esposito. He has a fantastic ride here, right? Like, this doesn't seem like the car this man would be driving.
No, it's a great vehicle. It probably breaks down a lot because the Brits aren't known for their car making skills. But honestly, I don't even remember what type of a car. It's boxy enough that I thought it was a Land Rover. Let's move on, Tom. They're so happy about the DNA in the glove. I will say that Calderon, like, kind of gets to the point where she believes Dave murdered Steve. Like, we're no longer conflicted. After he sent her through the windshield, she's just like all about making this guy take the fall. She leads him through. All these cops are just there to stare at him, which I thought was, I don't know, maybe there's other crime happening. There's certainly a giant forest fire going on. Like,
so many cops. I felt like we're gonna get like a slow clap going on, and where like they pan up and there's like 3 levels of cops all checking this wonderful scene out, giving him some heavy shoulders. I'm like, there's got to be more work to be done in this office.
Well, traditionally, Tom, I don't know if you know this, but in a situation like this, when they bring the perp in, all those cops line those railings in that lobby, and they all have donuts, and then they pelt. They pelt the perpetrator with donuts.
Donutting. Okay.
It's like they can't stone people anymore, like Old Testament, you know?
But we can still donut.
We can still donut people. And, I mean, I've heard that bear claws are the worst when it comes to getting hit in the face by one.
That makes sense.
literally bear claws. All right. For some reason, they're like, hey, Calderon, despite the fact that you went through a windshield, you've emptied 3 magazines at this guy, you then had to walk out of a forest fire, we think you're the right one to get him to confess. And you're like, This is all good cop work, folks. Let's all like nail this down. Rightfully so. The show's like, Calderon's going through some things, so she aggressively has to brush her hair and then listen to dead Steve tell her how she's not going to get away with it.
She does do a lot of aggressive
this scene.
Yeah, aggressive jogging, aggressive hair brushing. She has some demons to work through. But I did like that we got Rafe Spall kind of coming back to haunt her here.
Oh, he's a great ghost, an incredible. He should have been British. His ghost should have been British. I just want to say that.
That would have been great.
Oh man. Okay, there was a scene that didn't make sense to me, and I want to talk about it.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Esposito is outside the police department after Dave is inside with Calderon, and he sees a building inspector car getting towed, and he's
Classic.
like, oh crap, and he starts making a call. Why? What was this? I didn't understand this. I thought this was once again a point where it's going to be like, oh, like Esposito didn't cover his tracks well enough. We're going to find out something. Nope. Just like, what happened here, Tom?
This was, to me, a wild leap. Like, this event is like seeing an inspector car being towed made him think of Dave's car that is impounded. And like, I would argue maybe we should have been better detectives and looked at his car that was totaled in the impound lot before we did all the other stuff that we did, because it just immediately gives them the hard evidence that they needed. Like, if you're looking for hard evidence, go and look at the dude's like actual possessions of his vehicle. I also don't know how they got this warrant. They seemed to get it very, very quickly, and it was impressive.
Yeah. Well, Esposito, obviously he's got warrant power still, so
he's probably got a tackle box, like the buttons that he can just pull out and have warrants.
Pull out warrants. He's like, what? This warrant is a one size fits all warrant. Okay. The interrogation I thought was interesting. Ultimately, like, the payoff is, it is what it is, but it's like she's putting all the evidence in front of him. He's kind of denying it all. If this was a different show, he'd eventually cop up to it. He doesn't. He brings up like, hey, she never wears her seatbelt, so her going through the windshield. I was never privy to the conversation where Calderon explained to the other cops that he shot me through the windshield. But apparently that did happen during this whole process. And still no one was like, hey, you may have a concussion. Like, if you went through the windshield, maybe go take a deep rest, which you're supposed to do after you get a concussion. You're supposed to lay on the couch and go into a
Great
deep
advice.
sleep. But she's going through these fire investigations, and it seems like gotcha moments, but Dave's like, no, like, I knew that detail because people talk. Like, I'm within these circles. I'm an investigator. Like, the book is not a confession.
But they eventually get him on something, right? Of him using like a scratch piece of paper and a charcoal something. Like, I don't know what the details were, but it was something where he did not have that detail from the book, couldn't have got it.
She claimed that in a like sealed document from like an insurance investigation that was independent, they know about the charcoal powder. And like, how would he know about that? But then he comes back with like, hey, it was sealed, but the insurance people knew, which his ex-wife was an insurance adjuster. Like, he said the investigators talk. We all go to the same convention once a month, like, where fires are set and I blow up trash cans. Like, it seems like a gotcha moment, but he still comes back with some compelling reasons as to why he should know based on the circles he runs around in.
Agreed.
And so,
I do like the back and forth. I was saying the back and forth they do have, I thought was good, and I liked Tiagi's performance here of like, we act out of appetite. It was an interesting dynamic, and I like the way he portrayed all of this.
Oh, I thought, this was well acted. It was two people that like absolutely like despise each other, but also there's something in common. They could both be murderers. The jury's still out on Dave, but Calderon's definitely a murderer. Dave brings up like his mom and her mom, and she looks like she's about to murder him. I thought that was like, I was like, protect your throat, Dave. And
that's why I only wears turtlenecks.
Yeah, exactly. But so all this is going on while Amy from Veep and Esposito find in the glove box the disguise. And I was like, Okay, so the breadcrumbs throughout this episode are Esposito definitely could have put the disguise in that car. It was in the impound. Like, he's the one that realizes, hey, let's go look for it. He's got the limp, which is brought up in a scene here where Dave's following the fella into the, like, in his memory, he's following the guy into the convenience store. The fire that's set remotely, that could have been Esposito. There's so many things in this they make. I sound like a crazy person. I'm like, it was Esposito, Tom. You gotta believe me. He framed Dave. But then the show doesn't give us that answer, but it very cleverly, like, for those of us that watch too much TV, put some things in place. Did you think it was going to be Esposito as you were watching this episode?
I kept thinking that they were putting this stuff in front of us to kind of, and I guess obviously it was all just a MacGuffin. And like, I almost thought because of the goofy things that were going on with Calderon the whole episode, that there was going to be a twist that she was like, more of this was her story and she's the one making up all this stuff. But we got too many little Easter eggs with Dave looking in the mirror, like in the previous episode, seeing the different version of himself. And we got this again when they're in the interrogation room. And then we finally kind of come to the realization that, yeah, this is the guy he is. And it was a good call out by you, right? Because you had mentioned when he was setting those 6 fires, I think in the penultimate episode, you could see like stubble on the chin. And we see that in this version of Dave, but not in the, the traditionally handsome Tiegi version.
No, I disagree. It still wasn't Dave. I don't believe Dave was the arson. I'm against it. I don't think Fat Dave was the arson. I don't think Skinny Dave was the arsonist.
Okay.
That's
find out in season 2.
Let's find out in season 2. I don't know. It's fascinating.
I think season
to
2.
about.
Listen, I haven't watched the show, but I think season 2 of the show has already come out. And it's called Blackbird because I'm pretty sure Tiegi's in jail in that show.
And I'm pretty sure it's the same writer, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Order, Tarantino style.
What did we miss? The show ends with these two staring at each other, and I was like, I resisted as the music was playing and they were staring. I was like, please tell me there's 10 more minutes. Please tell me there's 10 more minutes. Not because I just wanted answers, and then it cuts to black, and I was like, oh, show, you're mean. This is brutal. And
they go, like, he says, like, I know who I am, and she's like, so do I. And they share eventually a smirk, but it kind of goes on for a really long time. I don't get the dynamic. I don't know if it's like a Freddy Dave kind of thing, because obviously it parallels that concept of them being in this interrogation room and like the person catching the other. I'm sure there's some deeper meaning there, but I didn't get it. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt overall it was a little bit disappointing for me that it was really just more of a bipolar Dave as opposed to there being a little bit more kind of a fun twist. Because of the goofiness of the show, I thought it was going to lend to something like that, or
Tom,
have Esposito be the partner or something else to it.
I don't think they conclusively told us it was Dave. That's how I feel.
Season 2 is all the trial.
Right. Well, here's what's interesting is, like, this arrest that he's being arrested for is for Steve's murder. We know he didn't murder Steve. So, like,
yes,
he's like, he is smart enough, or at least the evidence will show when they find out the neighbors' cameras have been downloaded, and that the only piece of evidence was the gloves, and that Calderon was there that night. Like, he's gonna walk on this one.
Yeah, exactly, right.
The question
is, like, everything else gets thrown out, right? Like,
right.
If you do this, but then the investigation was essentially crooked. Like, we know Harvey was crooked. We now know Calderon is crooked. Yeah, he's gonna walk free.
Right. Esposito's not even a cop, and like he's done the majority of the surveillance, so that all gets thrown out. I don't mind the ambiguity. It's not more satisfying than the twist being it was Esposito for me. But I appreciate it, and it was bonkers, but it was still well done. Everyone was like, I don't know.
Committed.
Committed, swinging for the fences. I discovered, like, Jurnee Smollett was great in this. T. Egerton was off the rails. Like, I would be interested in 10 years, if we're still friends, we should rewatch this series. And just be like, what was happening here? I'd be fascinated. If they go, hey, we did get renewed for a second season, I don't know how that's possible. I'll return just because I want to know if they answer any of these questions.
Well, and like we said in the beginning, this is all based off of a podcast that apparently is a true story. Now, obviously, how true it is questionable. So I guess if it is a true to life thing, you could look it up and see what happened. I know we purposely try to stay away from some of that stuff, but I mean, are you intrigued enough to now go and listen to this Firebug podcast?
I don't know that I want to, because if the Firebug podcast is like Dave was an arsonist, I'm going to be upset. But if it's like, I don't know.
It could be like a serial thing, right? Like that huge podcast that came out when podcasts were like just starting, where it throws like all the ambiguity towards like that murder and that conviction.
Right.
Like maybe it's something similar to this. I don't know.
Right, and something happens to Dave where we'll never know. I don't know. I'm not committing to it. I did think, like, oh, now that I finished it last night because I was so confused, I was like, oh, I should look up the Firebug podcast and just, like, get a summary. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I don't really want to. I certainly didn't want to prior to this conversation. And also I was like 3 bourbons in. So no, like, I was so confused on a number of different levels. But I don't know. I've enjoyed talking through the show. It's bonkers. I will probably watch what this guy makes next. And T. Eggy is now on my radar for different things, although if he's playing like a normal dude, I don't know that he's going to have the same effect. He's definitely not playing Bond. He made that clear in the news recently.
Yeah.
Which was almost like Bond rejected him. He was like, he wanted to break up with Bond before Bond could break up with him. He was like, oh, I'm not going to be Bond. I'm, you know. Anyways, Tom.
It might be worth checking out, Blackbird. I've heard that's a good show. I have not seen it. I think it's shorter than this. I think it's like only 6 episodes if I have that right. So potentially a quick watch. And I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. Well, Tom, did we cover it succinctly? Do you have any final thoughts on Smoke before we set this one on fire and move on to whatever's next?
No, I'm good. Yeah, we don't have any new shows kind of prepped yet, so keep an eye on our socials and we'll let you kind of know what we're doing. But yeah, like I said, this is a fun show to podcast on. I wouldn't say it was a great show, but I think it was a really fun one to talk through. Like whenever there's some sort of like murder mystery kind of thing, it is fun to kind of try to suss it out here. And as always, I appreciate the conversations with you, my friend.
Yeah, no, we did it again. For those of you that were equally confused or have some other theory, please reach out to us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Tom covers the social stuff. And if you enjoyed listening to us on this, please go on Spotify, rate and review, also Apple Podcasts. All those things help us out. Just take a minute. We would appreciate it. Tom, what did I forget?
Yeah, and follow us on the socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast. We're all the big ones. Keep an eye there. We'll tell you kind of what new show we're doing in the nearest future. Obviously, if you've got an Apple subscription, we've done a huge amount of Apple shows, from Bad Monkey to Severance to Silo to After Party to Ted Lasso. So if you've enjoyed our shenanigans here, please go back and check out our back catalog. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Yep, and for Team Binge and Smoke, I have been Julian.
And I have been Tom. Till next series, everybody.